Hello everyone, so today we're going to be building an interesting project which is the URL shortening API and landing page. So we're going to be building a URL shortener and then we're going to also build up the landing page for it. So you can head over into frontendmentor.io/challenges. I've just sorted it a bit here, but the link still remains the same. And then you can get this project, you can click on this card and then you can download the starter files. I've already done that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the extracted files in Visual Studio Code and then we can begin. And right before we begin, actually I want to mention that we're going to be using this repository. I've called it URL shortening API. I've committed this to GitHub, but I haven't deployed it to Netlify and I haven't submitted the project. So what I'm going to do is I canvassed a new React application, which is this right here. And at the end of this project, whatever code that we're going to write inside here, I'm going to commit it into this repository. Now, I know it doesn't allow unrelated histories, but I'm going to define that just for this project so that the code that you write inside here is going to be on par with the one that you're going to get from this cloned repository, if you ever clone this repository, or if you ever want to look at the finished code. Okay, so that being said, I just want to open up my extracted folder in VS Code and then we can begin a bit of copy pasting and then begin writing out our code. Okay, so when you download the files from this project, what you're going to get is this folder right here, this zip file, sorry. And then once you extract it, then you're going to get this folder, which I'm going to open up in Visual Studio Code. And then let me just get this open here as well as this here, places to the right and this to the left. Now what I want to do is I want to copy this design folder and the images. Oh, sorry, let me copy these ones first because they're easier. So just copy and paste them inside here. And I forgot to mention that this is a new React application, so you're going to have to run npx create react app and then give the application a name that you would want. Okay, so you need to run this command, which is going to canvas your new React application for you. Sorry, I skipped that part, but it's okay. And then once we copy this inside here, I want to delete this readme. We don't need it. And then I'm going to rename this readme copy into just readme. There we go. And then I'm going to go inside this git ignore. I'm going to copy all of this. So just copy this. And then inside here, just make the screen a bit bigger to avoid errors. Change this to line 29 and then change this to 35 and then this to 36. And that's our git ignore. And then back inside here, I just want to copy the images folder. So copy, and then inside my source folder here, I want to paste them in. Always paste inside here. Okay. And then before we get started, I just want to do a bit of cleanup. And the first thing that I do want to do is, let me close this. Close this. We no longer need it. The first thing that I want to do is I want to get this favicon from here and place it inside my public folder so that we no longer use the default favicon from React. So I'm just going to drag and drop inside here and then I'm going to delete this. And then inside the index.html, I'm going to change this into favicon-32 by 32.png. Like so. And then I'm going to change this theme color as well, if I do remember it. And then the next thing that I want to do is change this title to say URL shortening API. And then let's just say Frontend mentor, like so. And then that should be it for the public folder. And then before we continue, then I just want to do a bit of cleanup. So I want to clean up, I want to delete the app.css, the app.test.js, the logo, this and this. We can delete those. And then we can go into our index.js and then we can remove this because we have deleted that file, like so. And then we have the app.js. We need to remove these two lines on top because we've deleted those files once again, and then remove this. So inside here, I'm just going to be returning an h1 that says learn2, like so. And now let's just say hello world because that's the custom. Hello world, like so. And then actually, you know what? I don't want this here. I want it at the top. So export default. There we go. And then once we do that, then I should spin up our dev server, but I've just remembered that I want to install Tailwind CSS in this project just to move a bit faster. So let me go ahead and open up my terminal using Ctrl and J, and then let's go into our Tailwind website. So Tailwind CSS installation. Why doesn't it go to that website really? Tailwind. It wasn't giving me the drop down option. So where's the docs, installation, the framework guides, and then we're going to create React app. Okay, and then we need to install Tailwind. So copy this. So copy this there, let this run, and then we're going to copy this. And then once that installs, then I'm just going to paste in this next link, which is going to create our Tailwind config file and post CSS config file. So I'm going to let this run once again, and then as that runs, then I'm just going to copy this, which kind of like what does it do? It removes all the unused CSS from your files, so that you don't have extremely large files. Okay, so there we go. So it creates a Tailwind config file and a post CSS config file right here. So we're going to go into our Tailwind config, and then we're going to change this into this that we've just copied. And then once we do that, then we just need to copy this into our index.css. So into the source folder index.css, right at the top, let's have this. And then we can close this down, and then we can remove this. And then what font were we using? Let me just confirm this. We were using a font called Poppins with a weight of 500 and 700. So let me get this font. So just click the link to open it. Oops. What's happening? No, my internet is working. Oh, okay. So Poppins 500 and 700, I already have them inside here selected. So I'm just going to copy this right there, and then at the top of my CSS file, I'm just going to paste this in. And then let me just add some global styles. I'm going to start by changing this font into Poppins, like so. And then I want to say that for all my images, I want the width to be 100%. Sorry, max width, not the width. Max width. And then for the ULs and the LIs, I want the list style type to be none. And then let me check. We need some default colors inside here. So let me just create my root variable inside here, and then we can grab these colors from here. And you know what? I don't think we really need to do this because we are using Tailwind CSS, right? So because we're using Tailwind CSS, I really don't think we need all this because Tailwind has all of these colors by default. So let me just close that down, and then we can remove this just to remove a bit of overhead on my part really. I'm not really going to I'm not really targeting like the exact pixel perfect design. Okay, so once you have this, then I just want to add one more style inside here, which is the paragraph line height. Set this to 1.6 and save this. And then once we have that, then we can spin up our dev server. So npm run start, and it should spin this up on localhost 3000. So as we wait for that, then I'm just going to go ahead, and inside my source folder, I'm going to create a new folder called components, if I can spell it correctly, components, like so. And then inside here, we're going to have a header.js, and then we're also going to have a showcase.js, and then we're going to have a boost.js, and then we're going to have a footer.js, and then we're going to have another section called advanced.js, and then finally we're going to have one called shortener.js. And all of these components are coming from the design. Remember, I've already built this out, so I have the components in my head. So the header is going to be obviously the top part inside here. I can't zoom in. What's happening? Okay, I'm having issues in my computer. So the header is going to be obviously the top part, then the showcase is going to be this, and then our shortener is going to be this, and then the advanced section is going to be this, and then the boost section, and then the footer on the bottom. So that's how I have just built it out. Okay, and actually I should probably have this open desktop design. There we go. Okay, so obviously we're going to start top down, but I'm going to jump a bit because I want to start from the top and then build this out, and then skip this part, and then build this, and then build this, and this. I'm skipping this part because this is where the technical part is. This is where we're going to be integrating our API. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into header.js, and then I'm just going to say RFC, and this is coming from an extension that I have called ES7 React Redux GraphQL and React Native snippets. So you can have no longer has GraphQL. So you can, oh, this is now ES7. So you can go ahead and install this extension, and then you're going to be able to do this shorthand such as RAFCE, which is going to generate a React arrow function component, or RFC, which is a function component exported by default on the top line, and so on and so forth. If you want to read more about it, then you can just go ahead and read the details. Okay, so once we go into the header, then what I want to do is inside this header, I want to have a logo, right? So I'm going to create a header element with the class of header, and then inside here we're going to have a div, and this is going to be our logo, which is going to be an image, and this image is going to be coming from logo, which we're going to import. And then once we have this div inside here, right inside the div, I'm going to create a nav. This nav is going to be a UL with 3 list items, or li times 3, and these are going to be buttons. What is happening, really? Okay, so the buttons, I'm choosing buttons because the links don't really go anywhere, right? So rather than having empty hrefs, I'm just going to have buttons. And then let me just remember what this said. This is features. Okay, there we go. Now I can zoom in. So features, pricing, and resources. So this is features, this is pricing, and resources, like so. And then let's import this logo. So this is my dev server spinning up. Okay, I can close this, and I can close this, and I think I can close this as well. And you know what, I actually can close this also. There's no need for that. So let's import the logo at the top. So import logo from, this should be /images /logo.svg. And then right outside this div, I want to create a UL with 2 list items. These 2 list items are going to be buttons as well. And I'm using Emmet, that's why I can do this shorthand properties, and it generates the code for me. This one is going to be login, and then this one is going to say sign up. Okay, and if you look at the sign up button, it is styled differently from the login button. So I'm going to give this button here a class name of btn-cta, like so, which is our call to action button, really. Okay, so once we have this, then our header should be looking pretty nice. So let's go ahead into our app.js, and then let's import our header. So instead of this rendering this, which we should see on the screen actually in a moment. Okay, so it renders hello world right here, right? So instead of this just rendering hello world, I want to remove this class name from here, return a fragment, and then I'm going to be returning a header, like so. And I should import in from components header, and there we go. And we should see if it reloads. Come on. And we should see this. So we have our logo right here, we have our buttons, and as well as our call to action button right here. So what I want to do is I want to go inside the header, and sorry, not inside the header, but inside my index.css, and I want to create a custom class called max width, which is just going to be limiting everything. And inside here, I want to apply some Tailwind classes. So I'm going to say @apply, and then I'm going to say padding on the x of 5. So on the left and right, padding x of 5, which is, as you can see right here, is 20 pixels or 1.25 rem. And I should probably mention this extension as well. It's called Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. Where is it? Right here. So it just improves, like, it gives you the options that are available for Tailwind CSS for that particular class name. Okay, so if you, for example, if you forget a class name, right? So if you forget, or if you want like a specific color but you don't know what it's called, you can say bg dash, and then it just lists out the colors that are available in Tailwind for that, and then you can just look for the color that you want. So I'm going to say px5, so padding on the x of 5, and then I'm going to say that for large screens, then I want the max width to be 5xl, and then for extra large screens, I want the max width to be 6xl, and then for 2xl screens, then I want the padding on the x to be 0. And actually, you know what? Is that correct? Yeah, that should be correct. That should be correct, right? So max width is by default here. So the reason why I have this this class is because I don't want to keep on repeating these classes for every single component that I have. So now I can just go into the header, and then I can just add a class of max width here, and then it should reset just a bit, and it doesn't because I've forgotten something. Right here, I should say that large should be mx auto, which should now center it. So there we go. Now we have that. Okay, fantastic. Probably I should increase this to 7XL. 6XL is fine. We don't really need it to be pixel perfect. Okay, so once you go into the header, then we can begin styling this out. So I can just say, and you know what, I don't want to style the header right now because it's a bit of a headache. The next thing that I want to do is I want to create my footer. Okay, so I'm going from the top to the bottom, and I'm doing that purposefully because they are easy components to create. So inside the footer, I'm going to just say RFC once again, and then inside here I'm going to create a footer class with a class of bg-slate-800 should be fine. And then inside here I'm going to create a div once again, which is going to be our wrapper for the footer. So let me just call it wrapper, really, and not wrapper but max width. I just created that class, I mean, really. And then inside this div, then we're going to have articles. So the first articles is going to have our logo, and then the second article is going to have an h3 that says something. Let me just get the photo, the design image, sorry. So let me just go to the footer. So it says features, and there we go. Okay, so features, and then inside here we have a UL with 3 list items, which are going to be buttons once again, because you know they are not links going anywhere. So close this. Let me bring this here. So link shortening, branded links, and analytics. Link shortening, branded links, branded links, and analytics. And then what I want to do is just copy this article downwards. So copy it 1, 2, which is 3 times. So this is now going to say resources and company. So resources, and this is going to say company, and company has a 4th one, I think. Is it? Yeah. So this says blog developers and support. So blog developers and support. And then this says about our team, careers, and contact. So about, come on, our team, careers, and contact. Okay, so once we have this, then we're missing something. We're missing these 4 items. Okay, so we're going to create another article inside here, and this article is going to have 4 list items, which are going to be images. They're not going anywhere, so then again I don't want to place them inside buttons. So this is Facebook, this is what is the second one? Was it Twitter? So Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. Oops. Pinterest and Instagram. So let's import these 4 images that we have, and we're going to just import them at the top. So I'm going to say import Facebook from ./images/facebook.svg. So copy this down. This is Twitter. Oh, by the way, I'm selecting this text by just saying Control and D, which selects the next text that is similar to the one that you've selected. So this is going to say Pinterest, and then finally this says Instagram. Okay, these are all available in our images folder. And then once we have the footer, then we can go ahead and just render our footer inside our app.js, like so, and we should see this on the screen. Can't resolve that. Oh, of course it can't resolve it. Why can't it resolve it? Because these images are called, icon. They're called icon. So icon dash, there we go. And there we go. Fantastic. Now this isn't really the correct color for that. It's not really the correct color. We're just going to use bg-slate. I don't really mind the colors being a bit off. I don't really mind that. If you do mind it, then you can just go ahead and use the colors that are preferable to you. Okay, so once we have this, then we need our logo, our footer logo. But remember that the logo that we have here is white in color. So I just want to duplicate this logo. So just copy this and paste it inside here. And then I want to change this into footer logo. Footer dash logo. And then in footer logo, I want to change this color to white, so that instead of it being like almost a navy blue, then it's going to be white on the footer. which is going to be consistent with the design, as you can see right here. Okay, so for the footer, I'm going to import logo. Let me just say import logo once again from /images /footer -logo .svg, and then inside here we're going to render an image, and the source is going to be logo, and we should see, there we go, fantastic. Okay, so once we have this, then let's style out our footer. So the footer is going to be a grid, and you know, let me go inside this div. So this is going to be a grid with grid columns 1 with gap of 5, which is going to separate each article right there. Okay, and then these h3s are going to have a class name of text-white and text-xl. Is XL too big? Too big. Text-large. Let me say font-bold. There we go. And then let's say tracking-white, just to improve the letter spacing just a bit, barely noticeable. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is just copy this and paste it inside here and inside here. So paste it. There we go. And we have that. So features, resources, and company changes the text. And then I want to style all of these buttons the same way. So I'm going to place multiple cursors by holding down the Alt key and clicking here and here and here and here and here, and then here and here and here and here. So these are going to be class name of text slate -200, and then let's say text -small. There we go. And then I'm just going to say margin top 1, just to separate them out just a bit, barely noticeable, but it does wonders. And then finally, on this final UL, I want to give this a class name of flex, and then items-center, which is just going to do that. Okay, and I want to go inside this second list item, sorry, give this a class name of margin left 2, or let me say margin left 4, and then inside the third list item, let's say class name margin right 5, which is going to margin X. This should say margin X. There we go, and it does that. Fantastic. And then let's go to the top of the footer. Let's say padding Y of 10 and large screens padding Y of 20. Padding Y, not minus padding Y. There we go. Increase the padding. Okay, fantastic. And then we can continue to style this out. We're going to say that for medium screens, then I want the grid columns to be 3. Look at that. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's looking fine. And then for large screens, then I want the grid columns to be 5. We should take this here. There we go. So there we go. We have our footer working. Fantastic. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our next simple component, which is going to be boost your links today. This is fairly simple, so let's just do that. So let's go into our components. Let's go into boost, and the boost has 2 images. Let me say RFC first of all, and then I'm going to import the first image, which is BG Boost Desktop and BG Boost Mobile. So it has 2 images. So I'm going to say BG Mobile from /images /BG Boost -mobile.svg, and then I'm just going to copy this down, change this to BG Desktop, and then change this to BG Boost Desktop, like so. And then what I want to do is, once again, I'm going to return a section. This section is going to be you know what, this is probably going to require us to have a certain background. So let me give this a custom class name of boost, and then inside here we're going to have an h2 that says boost your links today, and then below this we're going to have a button that says get started, and this button is going to have a class name of btn-cta. So the same, it's going to be styled the same way as our button in the header. Change this to capitalized text, and then let me go inside this h2, give this a class name of margin bottom of 5 to push it away from this button just a bit. And then I want to add a tag inside here called picture, which we're going to add our images. This picture is going to take in a source article, source element inside here. So what this means basically is that we are assigning an image here, which is going to display when a certain min width is exceeded. And for this case, I want it to be 768 pixels, which is a tablet sized. Change this to camel case because it's we are dealing in React and not HTML. and then this is going to be BG desktop. So you want the desktop image to show when the min width is greater than 768 pixels. And then we need to have a default image tag, which is going to be our default image. So we're just going to call this BG mobile, which is going to display by default on devices that are less than 768 pixels. Okay, so once we have this, then I can save this, and then I can go into app.js, and then below this I can just render my boost component, and you can see what we have on the screen, and it's going to be this. Fantastic. So let's go ahead into the boost, our index.css, sorry, and then let me style the dot boost. So dot boost, I want this to have a background color of, let me check what it was in our style guide. It should be very dark blue. We can just do a bit of trial and error. There's no worries. Is this one? No, not this one. Very dark, or is it grayish violet? It's probably grayish violet. Is it this one? No, it's not this one. It should be this one. Copy this. Or is it? No, it's dark violet. Yeah, it's dark violet. This one right here. Copy this and paste it inside here. There we go. And there we go. So that's our background color. And then what I'm going to do is, we want this text to be aligned here, and we want this button to be aligned here as well. So what I'm going to do is, inside this boost, I want to give this boost a fixed height of 275 pixels. And I've chosen this because I did some trial and error in the previous project. And then this boost, we have an image inside, right? Which is basically this, right? So for the image, I want to give this a height of 275 pixels as well. And you know what? I should probably convert this to rem, because rem has better support. So let me just go into convert rem to pixels. Sorry, convert pixels to rem. I mean, it's the same thing really. So 275 pixels is 17.18 rem. So just grab this and paste it inside here, say rem. And there we go. Okay. And then what we need to happen is, we need this image to go to the end. So I'm just going to say at apply with dash full. Full has to else. There we go. So it goes all the way to the end. And even if you're on a bigger screen, it always maintains that that fixed height as well as the fixed width. Okay. I've just zoomed out so you can see how it looks on larger screens, and then you can zoom in as well to see how it looks on smaller screens. You see it doesn't overflow on the top or on the bottom. Very, very nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab our text inside here. So let's go back into our component, which is called boost. And then what I want to do is, let me grab this, place it inside a div with a class of flex and items dash center and justify dash center. And then let me go ahead and say flex dash call. We should place this in column form, sorry, and it should be right around here. And then why is it here? I don't understand why it's here. Let me go inside this div. Let me go inside here. So the boost.div, the boost, and then the div inside the boost. So let me give it a height of 17.188 rem. Why isn't it here? Is it because of, oh, you know what? I know why. So what I have to do is, I need to position this div as absolute inside here. That's easy enough to do. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give this a class of relative to be the parent component, and then this, I'm just going to call this boost dash inner, like so. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to target the boost and the dot boost dash inner, and then I'm going to say position as absolute, which will take it right there. And then I'm going to say position to the top by 0. We should bring it here. There we go. So instead of to the 0, I'm going to place it 50% from the top and 50% from the left, which is going to bring it around here. There we go. And then now notice that this is technically not the absolute center, right? Because it seems just a bit to the right. That's because the center is right here for the vertical, and then it's the center for the horizontal is right here. Okay, so we want to take it from this bottom right rectangle and place it to the center. So I'm going to do that by saying transform and translate on transform and translate by minus 50% on the x-axis and minus 50% on the y-axis, and it's going to bring it right there. Fantastic. And then let's tell out this text. Oops, let's tell out this text. So let's go ahead into our boost, and let's go ahead and give this a class of text-4xl and text-white. Let me say 3xl, and then for medium screens, then text-4xl. And then let's go inside this. Oh, we haven't styled this button. I want this to be font bold, so font dash bold. Come on. There we go. And then let's tell out this button before I forget. So right around below this, so the btn dash cta, I want to say background color. You know what, let me just tell it in Tailwind. So at apply bg dash cyan dash 500, padding on the y-axis of 2, padding on the x-axis of 4, and I'm going to say rounded. No, let me not give it a rounded border, and I'm going to explain why. And then I want the text to change to white, and then on hover I want the opacity to be 75, and then let's just say transition dash all with a duration of 150, and then let's give it a cursor pointer. Let's see this. So we're going to have this. Look at this. Fantastic. Now the reason why I don't want to give this a rounded border is because only one button, this button, I want this button to have the same class, but technically you can see that it doesn't have as rounded a border as these two other buttons, or as these three other buttons really. So just to avoid my CSS clashing, that's why I don't want to do that in my CSS file. Okay, so instead what I'm going to do is going to into this button right here and just say rounded dash full, which is going to give this a rounded border. There we go. And then same thing on the header. So I'm going to go back into my header. Where's my header? And then right here, just say rounded dash full. And then I'm going to show what we're going to do for our other button. Okay. So once you have that, then that is going to be it for boost component, and you can just open up F12, open up your inspector tool just to see how it's going to look on smaller screens. And you can see that on smaller screens, then I want this text to be aligned to the center as well. So let me go ahead into the boost, and then let me just say text center here on the H2, so that's text dash center, like so. There we go. So it's always going to be centered no matter the screen size. Okay, fantastic. Now let's go ahead and build our next component, and our next component is going to be the advanced statistics. Very easy to build, so let's go ahead and do that. So inside the advanced.js, let me close the boost, let me close the showcase, no, close the footer. Okay, so inside advanced.js, let me just say RFC once again, and then we need to import 3 images at the top, and the 3 images we need to import are these 3 icons right here. So let me just go ahead and remember their names right here. So the first one should be icon brand, icon detailed records, and icon fully customizable. So let me say import brand from /images / icon dash brand recognition .svg, and then import records from /images / icon dash detailed records.svg, and then import let me just call it fully from /images / images / icon. This should say icon, not icons. So icon dash fully customizable .svg. Okay, and then once again inside here we're going to return a section with a class of bg dash, let me call it slate dash 50 for this background. It has a very slight background. Is it, no, this is gray, right? This is gray. Let me call it gray, bg gray. Let me see how 100 is going to look first of all. And then once we have this, then I want to have an h2 that says advanced, what was it saying? Advanced statistics. So, statistics. and then a paragraph below this. And you know what, I can just go inside the index.html here, and then I can just copy this and paste it inside here. So this is going to be our title to begin with, right? And then below this, we're going to have a div, and then inside this div, we're going to have 3 articles. Okay, so the first article is going to have an h3 once again that says it's going to have an image. The first image is going to say brand, and then it's going to have an h3 that says that says brand recognition. And then below this is going to have some text which I can just copy from here. So just copy this and paste it inside here, and then I can copy this article 2 more times. So 1 and 2. This is going to say records, this is going to say fully, and then we can just go inside this h3, say detailed records, and then we can go ahead and copy the text for this. So copy this text inside here, a lot of copying and pasting. And then the third one is going to say this text, so fully customizable. So almost copied it to the wrong place, and then change this to fully customizable. Okay, so we're going to save this, and then we're going to render out our component inside our app.js. So inside here, right above the boost, I'm just going to render advanced like so, and we should see this. Fantastic. So as is the custom, we're going to style this out. Let's go ahead right inside here. Let's say padding on the y of 20, padding on the y of 10, and then for large screens, padding on the y of 20 to increase it like so. And then what I need to do actually is grab all of this, place it inside a div with a class of max width, which is going to do this, bring it to the center. There we go, so that it's always aligned. You know, you always want to keep a semblance of order in your websites, you know. And then let me grab this h3, so the first one, the second one, and the third one. Give this a class name of text-slate-800, and then let's just say text-xl and margin bottom of 3. How does that look? It looks like this, and font-bold. And you know what, instead of text XL, let me say text-large. XL is a bit too big, and let me reduce the margin to 2. And there we go. Fantastic. And then grab this paragraph, so the first one, the second one, and the third one. Give this a class name of text-slate- let me say 200. No, 200 won't be visible. Let me say 400. 400. Okay, fantastic. And then let me just say text-small because it's a bit too big. Yeah, that's going to be fine. And then what I want to do is now grab these articles, so the first one, the second one, and the third one. Give this a class name of bg white and padding all around of 5, and then give them a rounded border. So we're going to have this. Look at that, looking fantastic. Okay, now let's go ahead and inside this h2, give this a class name of text-4xl, for medium screen text-5xl. You know what, I don't need to do that. I can just say font-bold and text-slate-800 once again, margin bottom of 3, pushed away from this paragraph a bit. There we go. And then you can just say text-center, and then I can go inside this paragraph, give this a class name of text-slate-400 once again, and say text-center, and we're going to have this. Fantastic. And then what I want to do is right around here, I want to break this line, so I can just go inside here and introduce a line break like so, and we're going to have this. Fantastic. And then below this paragraph, actually no, let me just do let me go below the paragraph. Let's say margin bottom of 10, pushed away from these 3. There we go. And then for large screens, let's say margin bottom of 20, because the space is a bit too thin on large screens. And then let's go inside this container, and then we can display these 3 articles as a grid. So that's why I wrap these articles inside this div. So give this a class name of grid and grid columns-1 with a gap of 5 to begin with on small screens. There we go. And then for medium screens, grid-calls-2, and then for large screens, grid-calls-3. And we're going to have this. Would you look at that, looking amazing? The line height of 1.6 is a bit too thin, so let me change that inside here to 1.8. There we go. I don't know whether that changed anything, but it seems to have done something useful. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you know what? It's because I've reduced the text. That's why it's not changing as much as I would want, but that's okay. So the next thing that I want to do is go back inside these H3s, and the H3s are right here. So text line, let me just select this text 1, 2, 3. And then instead of having margin on the bottom of 2 alone, I want to add margin on the top of 5 to push it away from this image, like so. And actually, you know what? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. And then let's go inside these images. So the first one, the second one, and where's this one? The third one inside here. Give this a class name of padding around of 5 and bg-slash-800, which is going to do this. Would you look at that? And then I'm going to say rounded-full, which is going to have that effect, looking fantastic. Okay, so padding on the 5 looks a bit too big. Padding of 5, sorry, looks a bit too big. So let me reduce this to padding of 3. I think that should be fine. And then I want to have a minus margin on the top of 5, which should push it upwards. Let's say of 7. No, let's say of 10, of 14. 14 should be fine. Of 12. A lot of trial and error, just so it's just like, you know, almost in the middle. And then what I want to do is I want this one to push downwards and then this one to push downwards. Okay, that's looking okay. So what I'm going to do is inside this, I'm going to give this div a class of card, like so. And then I can target it in my CSS right around here. So I'm going to say the card, for the card class, I want the article, which is the first child. Oh, sorry, I want the article, which is the second child, so nth child 2. And I want to say transform and translate on the y-axis by 2 rem. We should push this downwards. There we go. And then I want to do the same for this, so just copy this and paste it inside here. Change this to nth child 3, change this to 3 rem, and it should do that. Not 3 rem really, but 4 rem, because it should be double this, so that it's continuous, you know, space or whatever. And you know what, actually this should be inside a media query, because I only want this effect to be available on desktop. So I'm going to add at media for a mean width of, let's say, 1024 pixels, which is large screens. Then I want to paste this in. Okay, and what can we do? What you can do as well inside here is, instead of, because we only have 3 items, right, and we know this is the last item, so what you can do is, instead of having this as nth child 3, you can just say last child, like so, and it's going to work the same way. As you can see, nothing changes. Now what I want to do is look at this design, right? It has a line going behind this, right? That's simple enough to do. What we're going to do is, inside our advanced, right inside here, though it's going to mess up with the styling a bit, and you're going to see how. I want to introduce a div with the class of line, and then I'm going to style it out. So as you can see, it already interferes with the design, because now this is the last child correctly, but then like the second child becomes the first child, which is how we were styling it in our CSS. I don't know whether that makes sense really. So let's go ahead and style our line, and I just want to style it inside here. So for the line class, let me just say at apply bg cyan dash 500 with a height of 1 with a width of full. Let me see how this looks. There we go. So it has this, and then what I want to do is I want this to be positioned as absolute, which is going to do that. Looking fantastic. And then what I want to do is, because I don't want it to overflow, then I'm going to go back into the parent, which is this right here, and then I'm going to give this a class of relative, and it should now be contained. There we go. So it's now contained within this div that has our 3 cards. And then I want to move it downwards, right? So let's go ahead inside here, and then I just want to say that move it to the top by 50%, and it should be right on there. Okay, and then we're going to go inside here, inside the articles. So inside these articles, right around here. So for the second one only, I only need the second one, right, which is the detailed records. So for the detailed records class article, sorry, I want to give this a class of relative which is going to do this, and it's going to go behind it. There we go. Fantastic. And you know, just to avoid bugs, let me just do that for the other articles as well, to avoid bugs, you know, just so that everything is stayed the same way. And we're going to have this. And then now the reason why the cards are still messed up is because we have introduced a fourth element here, yet we are styling 3 elements. So remember how this was the first element, right? Now we need to target the instead of targeting the second element here, we need to target the third one, and then it should revert. Okay, fantastic. Now it reverts, and then this is still the last child, so this is not affected in any way. And then now what we need to do is increase the padding on the bottom, because this is a bad design really. So let's go ahead and we're going to say that for large screens, then I want to target the, which class is this? You know, I can just do it inside here. So for large screens, padding on the top of 20, and then for large screens, let's say padding on the bottom of 40, make it twice as much. There we go. So twice as much here is still like 20 of this. Does it make sense? It's just a bit of playing around with CSS in your head. Okay. Now the next thing that we do need to do is we need to create our showcase, and then we finally can get on with this. So let's go ahead and create our showcase. So RFC. So for the showcase, we're going to import our showcase image, and our showcase image is called illustration working. So I'm going to say import showcase from /images / illustration working .svg, and then inside here we're going to return a section, and then inside this section we're going to have a div with a class of max width to limit everything. And then inside this div, we're going to have an article with an h1 that says something more than just shorter links, so more than just shorter links. And then below this, we're going to have a paragraph that I can just get from here. So just copy this and paste it inside here. Okay. Then below this, we're going to have a button in the class of btn-cta as well as rounded-full, and it's going to say get started. Okay, of course we don't see anything because we need to render this out in our app.js, so showcase. So, and we should see this. Fantastic. And then let's tell this out. So let's go ahead and into this h1 give this a class name of text-5xl. Yeah, 5xl should be fine. Then for that screens text-6xl. Let's imagine bottom of 5, and then go inside this paragraph, give this a class name of text-base. Actually, you know, it's already 16 pixels to begin with. So let's say that for large screen, then the text should be large. Okay, and then let's change this text color to slate-400. Okay, so that happens, and then change this to font bold. And then inside this button, sorry, not inside the button, but inside this paragraph, let's imagine bottom of 10 pushed away from this button. There we go. Okay, did I change the text color for this? No, I did not. So let's say text-slate-800. Change this. There we go. Okay, fantastic. And then for the showcase, once again, I just want to go inside this section, give this a class name of padding y of 10, and for large screens, padding y of 20, so that you can just have a bit of more leeway. And then let's go ahead and introduce our second article, and the second article is going to be our image, which is called showcase, like so. And for the alt, in case the image fails to load, let me just call this shortly, because that's the name of this website, and it introduces this image. Fantastic. Okay, so what I want to do is inside this article, I'm going to give this a class name of text-center for small screens, so it's going to push this to the center. And then for large screens, let me say for medium screens, then I just want to say text-left, which is going to take it back to the left. And then I want this to be displayed as a grid, so I'm going to go inside this div, give this a class of grid, and grid columns -1 with a gap of 5. And then for medium screens, I'm just going to say grid columns -2. And then for medium screens, I want the gap to increase to 10, and it's going to do this. Okay, and then because on medium screens, I just want this to push down a bit so that it's the image and the text are going to be centered. So I'm going to say for MD place items center. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, that's looking nice. That's actually looking pretty nice. I just probably want to increase the line height for this heading because this is looking a bit too squeezed. So I'm going to say leading dash normal. Leading normal is about 1.5. Is that correct? Leading normal. Okay, let's say leading loose. What? Is that not a class? Leading loose. What? Leading dash. Let me see. Leading dash 4. Where is leading? Okay, leading tight. Okay, this is not working and it's annoying me. Let me try and place it before this. Let me see if this is going to work. It doesn't work. We have other ways to deal with this. Let me show that it's not cleverer than I. So here, let's say h1, let's say line height, set this to 1.3. Come on, really? What is happening? They are defying me. Wait, what? Like, why aren't this? Why is there? I have no idea why the line height isn't working. Important. So it seems like there's something that is preventing the line height from working here. Did I add a class that I've forgotten? Did I add a class somewhere for the headings that I've forgotten? Let me see. Let me change this back to 1.3 or 1.2. Yeah, 1.2 is going to work just fine. I don't like adding this important here, the important flag, because it's the most specific of all CSS selectors. So I don't like having it in my CSS. But this is going to work for now, so that's okay. And then finally, let's deal with our header. So we're going to start with the mobile first of all. And we're just going to do a very simple toggle because I don't want to deal with this so much, And by the way, I should mention this. So React is now in version 18. So instead of saying React DOM.render, they're saying use create root instead. You can read more about this, but this is going to work. Our application is going to work the same way. So, it's not that big of a deal, It's not that big of a deal, really. So let's go ahead and tell our header. So let's go into the header. Where's our header? Header.js. Okay, so first thing I want to do is add a padding on the y of 5. Remember, it has a class of max width, so it already has a padding on the x-axis of 5. So I'm just adding a padding on the y of 5 to push it away from the top right there. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is what I want to do is I want to introduce a state value here. So I'm going to say import use state from React, and then I'm going to say const is open and set is open. This is going to be equal to use state, and by default it's going to be false, like so. And then I want to grab this navbar and I want to place a conditional and say only when is open is true, that's when the navbar should display. Okay, so we're going to have that, and this is going to reset everything just a bit, but that's okay. And you know what, instead of having this up to here, I might have done something wrong. I might have done something, because what I want to do is I want this to go all the way to here. But remember, these are two different elements. Okay, these are two different elements. So instead of having this here, then I should probably push this upwards and this downwards. Okay, and of course we're going to have an error because we can only return one item. So let's return a div. Really? Like so. So that should disappear as well. And then we're going to deal with that. Don't worry about it. We're going to deal with it. So let's see. So we have the div here. We have the other div here. So what I want to do is I want to add a button here. And then this button is just going to say menu. Okay. And it should appear right there. And then I can go inside this div, give this a class name of flex and items-center and justify dash between. We should take this menu button here. There we go. And then instead of this being lowercase, let me make it uppercase because I like the menu being uppercase. And then let's just say text dash small, make it just a bit smaller but capitalized like so. Let's say tracking dash wide, and I can just say text dash extra small. No, that's too small. Too small. Okay, fantastic. So when you click on this button, you want our menu to open, and when you click on it again, we want it to close. So on the button, we're going to add an on-click event, and we're going to place in our inline function, and I'm going to say set is open to the opposite of is open. So if it is true, set it to false, and if it is false, then set it to true. That's what this means, and you can test it out right there, and you can see that it is working amazingly. Okay. So the next thing that we do need to do really is just to style this out a bit, right? So we're going to go inside the navbar, inside this div really, give this a class name of absolute. I like positioning them as absolute. You can do whatever you want really. So left of 5, left dash 5, and right, come on, right dash, oh my god, right dash 5, let's say rounded, and let's say bg dash slate dash 900, and then let's say text dash slate dash 200, and we should see this. Look at that. And then let's take it to the top by 10. How does top dash 10 look? Let's say top dash 20, so that we can see this text. We can see this text and this text as well. And then let's place everything to the center. So let me see if text center is going to work. There we go. And then let's say padding y of 10, pushed away from this. Fantastic. And then let me go inside this second list item, give this a class name of margin y of 5, which is pushed away from these two, like so. And then let me go inside the login. So the login inside here, actually let me go inside this list item, give this a class name of margin on the y of 5, and then for MD screens, I want the margin to reset back to 0. Okay, so that's going to be for this. And then right again here, so for my 0. Okay, so what this to mean is that I want the margin to reset when we're on screens that are greater than 768 pixels. As you can see, the margin resets, and then if I reduce it, then it's going to increase the margin right on there. Okay, so this is working as it should. Okay, so our menu is working as it should. Okay, so that's looking okay. And what I can do inside here is, instead of just this showing menu, is I can say that if is open is true, then I want this to say close, and then if it is false, then I want it to say menu. That when I click on it, it's going to say close, and then when I click on it, it's going to say menu, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we need just to style this out for our large screens, right? So what I'm going to do is inside here, I'm just going to say that for medium screens, then I want this to be positioned as relative, and then I want that for MD screens, it's going to be top by 0. For MD, I want it to be left by 0. For MD, I want it to be right by 0. And then for MD, I want the BG to be transparent, so remove the slate background color. And then for MD, I want the text to be slate dash 700. And then for MD, I want the text to be left. So basically, we're just resetting all these text that we have inside here. It's nothing really fancy. So for MD, I want the padding Y to be 0 once again. So let's see how this looks. And we have this. Okay, fantastic. And then what I want to do is I'm going to go inside this button, and I'm going to say that for MD screens, I want it to be hidden, which would be make it disappear. There we go. And then let's style this out. So we can go inside this navbar, inside this UL, give this a class name of flex, and items dash, let me see, items dashed, and justify dash start. Doesn't take it this side, it doesn't. Okay, and then let's go inside this UL, give this a class name of flex, and items dash center, and then margin left of 5, pushed away from this just a bit, and then go inside this div, and then we're going to say that for MD, we are still adding more classes. See how it's just piling up, but it's not really that big of a deal. And then for MD flex, and then for MD items dash center, we should now center it. There we go. And then I just want to increase the margin on the right of this login. So for the login button, which is this right here, I want that for MD screens, margin right 5, which is separated there. And then let's go inside these ones now. And inside here, I'm going to say that for MD screens, margin on the X should be 5, which should now separate it There we go. Would you look at that? Now I do realize that in the design, this one is placed to the left and then this one is placed to the right. So if you really want to, just to get it correctly, and you can introduce a few hacks, what you can do is you can go inside this navbar and say that for empty screens, then you want this to be hidden, which will make it disappear, right? And then what you can do is just copy this navbar here, and then you're going to place it inside here, and then you're going to say for MD you want this to be blocked, but you want it to be hidden by default. So on small screens this is going to be hidden, and then for medium screens this is going to be blocked, and it's going to place it right around, place it here, which is not really what I wanted, because now what I need to do is grab both of these, maybe place them inside an article like so, and then which is going to do this. Would you look at that? And then I'm going to grab this one, give this a class name of flex and items-center, and it's going to place it right there. And then you can go inside this navbar, and for MD you can say margin on the left to be 5, right? Okay. And then something else that you can do is, oh yeah, actually I think that's going to be it. Probably just change this text to be grayed out. So inside this button, so 1 2 3, and probably this one as well, 4. So I'll give this a class name of text-slate-400. Okay, doesn't change the text, because I'm changing the text for this one, which is not what I want. It's not what I want. I don't want it to be here. Oops. Don't want it to be here. I want it to be on the login button. So class name of text-slate-400, and then I can go inside now these ones which we are now displaying here, on this to be text-slate-400. Change the text. There we go. So that's looking okay. Okay, fantastic. So now we're going to go ahead and create our link shortener using our API, and I saved that to be the last thing because that's going to be probably what's going to take us a bit more time. So let's go ahead and we can close this, and I think we can close this and the desktop designer as well, really, because there's nothing much that we need to do except just remember this, which is okay. Then we can close this and we can go into our shortener. We can just say RFC like so, and then inside here we're going to create a section with a class of max width, and then inside here we're going to have an image. Okay, this image is going to say shortener, which we're going to import shortener like so. So then let's import this image. So I'm going to say import shortener from /images / what's it called? It should be bg shorten mobile, or so bg shorten mobile .svg. Then just copy this down. Let me say bg mobile. Just use the same names. There's no conflict. So this you can say desktop as well. Introduce my picture tag, introduce the source media like so. Do the same thing. So 768 pixels. The source set for this is going to be bg desktop, and then we're going to have an image here which is going to say bg mobile. Okay, fantastic. Now what I can do is we're really going to do the same thing, really. So I want to give this a class of boost. Don't give it a class of boost. I've just remembered why. So I'm just going to give this a class of shortener. I'm not giving it a class of boost because I don't want it to take the classes of this one. I don't want it to apply the same class names, the same style, sorry. Okay, so below this picture tag we're going to have a form with no action. Okay, this form is going to have a div. This div is going to have an input with a type of URL, and I'm going to say placeholder equals to shorten link here, and then let's say required. Do we really need the required? I don't think we need the required. So shorten a link here, and then we're going to have a button with a type of submit that says shorten it exclamation point. And then this is going to have a class name of btn-cta like so, and then rounded-large. Okay, so save this, and then let's go ahead and render it out right after our showcase. So shortener like so, and we should see this. So we're going to do this. So let's go into our index.css. Let me copy this background color, and you know what, let's say shortener background color is going to be HSL, this one. The height, I'm going to give it the same height as this, so 17.188 rem like so, and then this should say shortener. So for the shortener image, I'm going to give this a height of 17.188 rem once again, and then I'm just going to say add apply with dash full, and it's going to do that. Fantastic. And then go and set this shortener once again, and I'm just going to say border radius of, let's say, 10 pixels. Okay, so the border radius of 10 pixels applies, but the reason why you don't really see it is because the image overflows outside. So what I'm going to do is inside this image, I'm just going to say rounded-full, which dash large, which is 8 pixels. So it's going to be rounded right there. So I'm going to reduce this to 8 pixels as well. Okay, just so we can have a semblance of uniformity. And then let's go ahead and grab this form. Okay, give this a class name of form, and then inside here I'm just going to say dot shortener dot form, and this to be positioned as absolute, okay, to the left by 50%. So we are basically doing the same thing that we did here. Okay, to the left by 50%, to the top by 50%, and then transform and translate by minus 50% on the x-axis and minus 50% on the y-axis. And then if I save this, then it's going to break a bit because now the form comes here because it's not positioned. It's positioned absolute within the body, but not within the parent element. So let's go ahead into the shortener inside here, and then let's just add a class of relative here, and it should now bring the form here. There we go. And then this, once we have that, then I can just say width dash full. And you know what? I can just, yeah, I can say width dash full. Width dash full should be fine. Should it? Width dash full. Let's say mx-auto, bring it back to the center. Doesn't do anything. Okay, so let's go ahead into this input. I'm going to give this a class name of width-full. What does this do here? It does that. Okay, fantastic. Let's say padding on the y of 2, padding x of 4. Let's say rounded. Okay, let's see how this looks. Okay, let's say margin bottom of 2, and then for MD margin bottom of 0. So margin bottom of 2 because on small screens it's going to be stacked one on top of the other, and I want it to have a small margin at the top, and you can just check it out by the way. If I reduce this to right, see what I mean, right? And what this should be rounded dash large, just to keep in par with the button as well. There we go. And then what you can say is on this button, give this a class name of width dash full. What does that do? Does that. Okay, fantastic. And then what you can say here is on this div, I'm going to give this a class name of flex, and let's see flex dash call. Okay, and then for MD screens, I'm going to say flex dash row. We should place it like so. And then let's say for MD screens here, the width should go back to auto. There we go. Let me give this a fixed width. So instead of auto, let me say width dash 20. Oops, let me say width dash 40. There we go, just so that the button text can be readable. And then let me increase the margin on the left. So for MD, let me say margin left of 5, pushed away from this. There we go. And then I want this input to be bigger, but I don't want it to overflow so much. So let me say that for MD screens, then the width should be 2/3. But it's going to be 2/3 of this. Yeah, I knew it. That's because of something that I've done somewhere. Let me remember. Let me see whether I can find it. I think it's because of this. That's why I think it's because of this, but that's okay. So what I can do is I can give this a width of 90%. Though I don't like adding fixed widths. I don't like adding fixed widths. They are annoying sometimes. Let me see how this looks on mobile. Yeah, this looks okay on mobile. It looks okay on mobile. And on large screens, it looks okay as well. Okay. So instead of this being 90, let me make it 80. Yeah, just bring it a bit, reduce it just a bit. Okay. Now let's begin with creating our link shortener. And you know what, this height is a bit big. It's a bit too big, but that's okay. So what we want to do is we want to create a function that is going to call an API to shorten the link that we're going to enter inside here. Okay. And just so that I'm safe and I don't leak anything, I want to open this up on a guest tab. Okay, so I've opened this up on a guest tab, and I've just realized that our call to action buttons are not appearing on large screens. And that's because if you take a look at our header, then we're only setting this to display when is open is true, and there's no way to toggle is open here. So what you can do is you can just go ahead and copy this UL right here, which is our login and sign up button. And then below this, you can create a div with a class of hidden by default. And then for empty screens, you can set it to block. And then you can paste this inside here. And then that should display this. Okay. And then on small screens, it's just going to go back to how we styled it. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's create our link shortener. So I'm going to take a look at the API. Let me just remember it's called the shortcode API. Okay, so this is the link to the API right here. And then the link that we're going to use is we're going to go into, where is it? Let's go into the developer API page. And then this is the API base, right? So let me see if I can get something by running this. So we find that no method specified and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is we want to specify a parameter of URL. And let me just get where this is. So, okay, like for this one example, right? So the API works for both GET requests and post requests. So let me just get this link, and then I can just copy it. And then back inside here, now inside our shortener component, I'm just going to paste it right here. And then I'm going to remove all of this, okay? Because this part is our, what's it called? Our URL that we're going to be entering into our input. So for now, this is just going to be empty, and then we can begin setting everything up. So I'm going to import use state from React. So use state from React. Come on, like so. And then below this, I'm going to set up my state value. So I'm going to say const, let me say text and set text. This is equal to use state, and by default is going to be an empty string. Okay. And then inside this input, I want this input to be controlled. So I want to pass in a value, which is going to be our state value of text, which I've just initialized. And then I'm going to have an onChange handler here. So onChange, I just want to say set text into e.target.value, which is going to get the text that we type in. And remember, we need this event attribute here as well. Okay. And then once we have this, then I want to have an onSubmit function, an onSubmit handler on the form. So I'm going to say onSubmit. We're going to create a function called handle submit. And then on the button right here, we're going to have an onClick. So onClick, when you click on the button, we just want to say handle submit as well. So it's going to be the same function as the submit function on the form. And then we can go ahead and create this function. So right above this, I'm just going to say const handle submit is equal to access my synthetic event of e, and then we can go ahead and just say e.prevent default, and prevent default just prevents the default behavior of the form refreshing the page when we submit it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this, and let's check this out in our application. So let me just open this up, and if I try to share link, then nothing happens. So that means that our function is working correctly. And if I try to click on this, then no page refresh is triggered. So our function is working correctly. So the first thing that I want to do is I just want to check whether text is available. So if we have written anything inside here, so that meaning it's not empty, right? So if there's no text, then I just want to say alert input is empty. You probably want to have a better alert than this, but this is going to work for me. And I'm just going to save this, and no, look at this. If I try to submit it, then it says input is empty. Okay, and then we're going to have an else statement here. So we're going to say else. So if input is not empty, which means we have typed a link inside here, probably you want to do something like check validation for whether it's a link. So check for whether it's a link, a valid link, which means you'd have to run a bit of regex, and I really don't like regex, so I'm not going to do this. I'm just explaining that you probably want to do this. So else, then what we want to do is we want to go ahead and get the text that we type in and then append it to this, and then we're going to run the function that is going to call this API, send a get request to this API, which is going to return a shortened link for us. So what I mean is we're going to create a function here. So I'm going to call this function const, let's say fetch, let me say get shortened link, or let me just say shortened link, like so. Const shortened link is equal to an asynchronous function. So asynchronous function, like so. We're going to say const res equals to, so the response equals to await, and fetch, we're going to be fetching, placing my backticks, and then I'm just going to copy this right inside here, and then I want to place in my $sign, and then I want to pass in my text. So basically what this means is, remember how we were able to pass in, let me just copy this, by the way, let me just paste it inside here so that you can see it. If I want to go into something like twitter.com, I don't know whether this will work, by the way, but you can see it right. So twitter.com, then we are going to have the short link here, the full short link, the second, the third, and so on and so forth. So this is the API request that we're going to get back, right? The response, sorry, that we're going to get back, not the request. So basically what we're doing is we're going to check for the text that we enter, and then we're going to append it to the end of this link. And then once we run it by submitting the form or clicking the submit button, then we're going to get back this such an API request, and then we're just going to check for what we want, right? So that's basically what is happening inside here. And then once that is run, then we're going to get back some data. So const data equals to await res.json. So just convert it into JSON format, like so. And then what you can do is just console log the data that we get back. Okay, and then right outside this, remember to run the function, so shorten link, like so, and then we can save this. So let's check the console, and we can say, let's say twitter.com, and we should see we get okay true, we'll get the result inside here. Okay, so once you run this function, then we're going to need another state value which is going to be holding our data, right? So you can go ahead and create another state value here, and I'm going to call it links and set links. This is equal to use state. By default is going to be an empty array, and then I can just go ahead and say set links into the data that we get back, and not just the data, but I want to set it into data.result, because the result is the object that contains all of these items that we need. So I can just say data.result, like so. And then if you try and console log data.result, then you should probably get the same thing as here, except this okay won't be there. So let's just try and run it again, and you can see now we no longer get the okay, we just get this. Okay, that's looking fantastic. Now let me place this back to the top, and then what I want to do is whenever we submit our form, then I want to clear this input. So we can just do that by saying set text into an empty string. Okay, so if I try to submit this, then it's going to clear this input. So that's looking okay. Okay, so we can go ahead and we can begin getting this data that we get back, and then we can just display it on the bottom, right? So let's go ahead and write after the form. So I think after the form, let me see, where does this appear? Let me have a div inside here with an h2 that says lorem2. Where does this appear? Okay, here. Okay, that's okay. So what I'm going to do is right after the form, then I'm going to say inside this div that I've just created, then I want to return a UL. Okay. How is this going to work? So this UL is going to have about you know what, let me do this. So inside this div, let's return an article. This article is going to have an h6 that says what does it say? What was this? It says link. It says links.result. It says links.result dot what was this original link dot original underscore link, and then we should see oops, oh sorry, it's not links.result because we've already set this to data.result, so we don't need this to be here. So just say links.original link. Okay, that was the problem. So twitter.com, of course this is not a valid link. That's not a valid link, or is it? It does show it as a valid link. Okay, that's interesting. That's quite interesting. And then once we have this on the left, then we want to have the shortened link here and then a copy button. Okay, so I'm going to have another article here, and then we're going to have a UL with 2 list items. And then this first one, probably I'm just going to have it as a button. So button, sorry, not a value, but a button element. Come on. And then this button element is going to say links dot what is it, dot full short link dot full underscore short underscore link. And then this second one is going to be a button as well that says copy, and then it's going to have a class name. Come on. It's going to have a class name of btn-cta and then rounded dash full. And we should see this. Okay, we should see this on the screen. That's looking okay. That's looking okay. And then what I want to do is, okay, you know what, I don't like this rounded button here, so let me say rounded dash large. Yeah, so that's much better. And then let me reduce the text, so text dash small. Okay, and then now on small screens, how I want this to look is I want them to stack one on top of the other. So what I'm going to do is inside this div, I'm going to give this a class name of flex and item center and justify dash center. And you know what, I'm going to remove item center. Okay, so that's going to have that, and then I'm going to say flex dash column like so. And then okay, then it means I have to have items dash center. And then what I want to do is this div is going to have a BG of white. Okay, and something is wrong. This is overflowing into this. Let me say text center and then figure out what is happening here. Why is this overflowing? I don't understand why it's overflowing. We're going to figure that out in a moment. Let me just handle this first. And then now what I want to do is this shortened link should be cyan in color. So let me go inside here, give this a class name of text-cyan-500 like so. So this is the shortened link. And then let me go inside this one, give this a class name of margin bottom of 3, pushed away from this just a bit. And then I can say that for empty screens, margin bottom of 0, which is going to reset it like so. And then for medium screens and above, I want this to go to the left and then this to go to the right. So let's go back inside here, and then let's say for empty screens, the flex should be row like so. And then for empty screens, I'm just going to say justify between, take it to the end like so. And then let's access this article. And where is it? Let's access this article, this second one. Oh, sorry, yeah, the UL. So give this UL a class name of flex and items dash center. And of course this should be for empty screens before I forget and mess everything up. Okay, there we go. And then let's go inside this first list item, give this a class name of margin right of 5 to push it away from this. And of course, this is for empty screens as well. Please don't forget to do that. And then let's increase the padding of this white div. So let's go back inside this div. Let's just say padding all around of 3. There we go. That's looking fantastic. Okay, that's looking okay, though I still don't understand why this is overflowing into. Oh, wait a minute. Is it because the form is positioned absolute? Interesting. Let me just try and let me just try and increase the padding on the top of these two. Okay, so let's go inside our advanced.js right inside here, and then inside advanced.js. Okay, so inside advanced.js I just want to change up these values, so I'm going to say padding top of 20 and padding bottom of 10, and this I'm going to increase this to 32. That's still too small, so let's say 32 here. And then probably now we can just remove this. Yeah, let's see how this looks. I think I'm just going to leave it at that. And then now I'm going to increase the margin on this white div just so that it pushes away from the form just a bit. So back inside the shortener right around here, I'm going to say margin top of 3. Push it just a bit. Let's say rounded dash large. Probably add a box shadow so that it's going to be visible just a bit. There we go. And then now what we need to do is we need to add the toggle for this copy button and the functionality for it. So let me just try something. Twitter.com. So it's going to appear here, and we need to add this copy, right? So what we're going to do is let's handle the function for the copy button. So on this button, we're just going to say on click. We're going to create a function called handle copy, like so, and then we can go ahead and create it. So right below this, let's say const handle copy equals to this now inline function, and then we're going to say what was it, navigator dot clipboard dot write text, and with the we want to write the not the text, but we want to write the links dot full underscore short link. That should be it. So let me save this and let's test it out. So I'm going to click on this copy button. Okay, so I've clicked on it, and then I'm going to go into a new page, and then I'm just going to paste this in, and you see we can see that it copies the link that we have inside here, right? And it takes us to Twitter. Okay, so that's looking okay. So that means the copy button is working, but we need a kind of alert to show that we have clicked the copy button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new state value inside here called button text. So button text and set button text. This is equal to use state. By default, I just wanted to say copy, like so. So what I'm going to do is inside here, and I'm just going to say display the button text. Okay, so by default it's just going to say copy, so that's looking okay. And then what I'm going to do is when we run this function, so which means I'm going to have to place this inside my curly brackets because we are increasing the size of this, then I'm going to say set button text into copied, like so. So when you click on this, okay, you can try it. So it's empty right now, but it should still work. So let's say copy, and there we go, copied. Okay, and you can see it's undefined because we have not copied anything really. Okay, and then what we're going to do now is I'm going to go back into this button, and then I'm going to add a focus event. So when you focus on it, then I want the bg to be slate bg dash slate dash, let's say 800. Let's see that. There we go. So when you click on it, and it's going to change the text color to this so that it alerts you that you have copied it. Okay, so let's reload that, and we're going to have this by default. Now the next thing that we do need to do is we want to handle our local storage so that when we reload this, then the link doesn't disappear. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go inside right below this really, and then we're going to have our use effect, which I should import from React. Okay, so let's go ahead and import use effect. Okay, there we go. It imports it for me by default. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say local storage dot set item, and I want to set the item called items. Oh, sorry, not items, but links. What am I doing? Is it links? Okay, links. Set the item dot links, and then I'm just saying JSON dot stringify, and I just want to stringify links like so. And then I want this use effect to run every time that the links change. Okay, this should be correct. If it's not correct, then we're going to know in a few minutes. And then I want to create another function called get local storage. Okay, or you can call it get stored links, for example. You know, just make it more descriptive. And then I'm going to say let links equals to local storage dot get item, and I want to get an item called links. And then I'm going to say that if links does exist, or rather if links does exist, oops, then we're going to return local storage dot get item, is that correct, links, and then we're just going to say json dot parse, and we're going to be passing the links like so, and else we just want to return an empty array. This should work, hopefully. Is this going to work really? I sometimes forget how to do local storage. Okay, and then in order for this to work, then instead of this use effect being an empty array here, then we're going to pass in this function, so get local storage like so. Oops, like so. So let's save this, and then let's see whether anything breaks. Okay, nothing breaks. Let's see twitter.com, and then let's reload. Okay, so something does break. Okay, so let's go ahead and check our local storage right inside here. So local storage, and so we get links inside here. So what is breaking really? Okay, so you know what, there's a couple of things that I've done wrong. So this should say quote links, and then this should be the links state value like so, and then this should say return, remove this from here, and then just grab this, and then we're going to return json dot parse, and then pass this in. Like I said, sometimes I forget how to do local storage. Okay, and okay, now we have the key and we have the value inside here. So I can say twitter.com, and we should see this, and if we try to reload it, then it should persist. There we go. So now local storage is working correctly. Okay, so now what I want to do is let's see, we can copy this and we can paste it in, and we can go to Twitter and so on and so forth. What is it that I wanted to do? I've forgotten. Our link shortener is working. Okay, so before I do forget, I want to check something out, because I did realize another error that we had. If I go into the smaller the mobile screens, right, then I try to open our menu, then this happens. Okay, I am not sure why that happens, but it happens. So let me try and figure it out. Let's go into our header, and then we have this is our nav bar. So our nav should be this one, right? Okay, this is our nav. So my is 5, and you know what, because we are rendering this here for mobile screens, and then it's above here for large screens. So what you can do is, we don't really need this. We don't need this. Okay, and of course, let me try and remove this to see whether this is also toggling this. Okay, so my5, so that means my5, that would mean that this should be flex column, so that it goes downwards. There we go. Items center, items center, and justify center. Take it to the center. There we go. And then do the same for this. So let's go inside here, flex column, item center, justify center. and we're going to have that, and then margin left 5, we can remove this. Okay, fantastic. So that is going to be that, and then because we are now we've added this for the mobile screens and then this for large screens. Okay, probably this is a crude way to do it, and you can find a better way really, but then again I was building in this out for the shortening API and not really for the design. Okay, and then let's try and increase it so that we make sure that everything is still working as it should. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so that is going to be the URL shortening, the shortly URL shortening API challenge. And yeah, you can go ahead and submit it if you want or not. I don't really feel like submitting it right now because it's almost midnight really, and I'm really tired. If you've reached this far without me boring you, then please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and leave a comment down below in case of any challenges, and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.